Very recently, we got a text message from one of the elders of our church, and the text just said that, he was going to be over in 10 minutes at our house with some of the other elders of the church to pray for my oldest daughter and to anoint her with oil. So my oldest daughter has some chronic pain that really bothers her, and my church very much cares for her. And this was one of the examples of how they care for her. And when we were done, so they all come to the home, the 3 different men, and they all take turns. My daughter is there on the couch. They sit around her, they pray for her, and then they anoint her with the oil that they brought. And if this is unfamiliar to you, this comes out of James chapter 5, where it talks about if anyone is sick among you, let him call for the elders and anoint them with oil. So that's where that practice comes from. And so they did this, and after they left, I took aside my daughter with my wife standing there, and I just said, to my daughter, I said, remember this moment. Remember how they loved you and how they cared for you. Because when you grow up and you move out and maybe you get married, find a church like this. It doesn't necessarily matter the denomination or the distinctives of, specific fine points of theology. We can have, they do matter, but what I'm saying is that we can have different convictions on that. I don't expect all my children to have all the convictions on secondary issues that I do. They might end up in a different denomination. That's totally fine. But find a church that loves you and treats you like this, that is willing to come without being asked, to pray for you, to bring the elders, to anoint you with oil, that prays from you from the pulpit on Sundays because they want to see you better, that shows that genuine love. Now this church, another church that we used to be a part of in Edmonton when we lived there, did the same exact thing for her. Came over, anointed her with oil, and prayed for her. So we have examples of that. And actually, that same church, while I was sick and I was going through cancer, they did the same things for me too. Came with the men of the church to my hospital bed in the cancer wing of the hospital and prayed for me, and prayed from the pulpit for me, and just showed me that this church is my family. This church loves me and my family and will care for me. And they did many other different things too to show their tangible love. I might get into those another time in another video, but for now I just want to make this one point, because I think that especially through what we've been going through in 2020 and 2021 with these various rules and regulations that, I know they differ per place and different churches have responded in different ways, but you probably have experienced at some point in time either your church being closed or doing church a different way for even a period of time, even if it wasn't the whole time. And we've experienced this, and we've got to see what we really value, what we think are the essential elements of church and which are those that are not. And I think that in some things, this is a viewpoint that I really strongly disagree with. And I'm not sure very many people would actually affirm this, but they affirm it by what they prioritize and how they do things, what elements they keep and which they're able to sacrifice. A lot of people view church as something that the congregation is passive in. They come sort of like watching a movie in a movie theater or going to a concert. They sit in the pew, they sing along, they listen to something, and then they get up and they go. You're not participating. This is not a family gathering, but this is an event that you take in before leaving. And that is such a small and insufficient view of church. Church is a family gathering. It's where you gather with your family to care for one another and love one another. And we do many things that can't be just done through a screen. We have to participate. It requires physical embodiment. And so If you have been greatly dissatisfied with your church, and of course we all have gripes and concerns, but I just want to say, does your church love you and care for you like that? Is your church your family? Can you share meals together? Can you serve together? Are they there for you when you're going through marital conflict or a loss, or when you or a family member are sick? Can you count on them to love you and to care for you and to pray for you and to see what your physical needs are? Because that is what the church is. That is what my family has. That makes everything just right. It is so precious. It is so good when you are in a good church. And I'm thankful that I have my family one. I'm thankful that my children are able to see what a healthy, good church looks like. And my prayer is that when they grow up and they leave my household and they start households of their own, that they too get into a church that will love them enough to show up unannounced, to pray for them, and anoint them with oil when they're sick. Hopefully you get that too.